Hey guys, Dr. Prometheus here with more Warno. This one was a 4v4. It's just an internal on the squad ops one. I have it at slowest because we're going to go through some of the stuff beforehand while we go through. The 11th Armored Cav is now in the game. We're using that, and so is Crick. Bartok is playing the 1st Armored, and then the 2nd Infantry Division for Oddball. Oddball's on the left. Or actually the right, sorry, and kind of like the middle. We're taking up the Foxtrot Golf lane. Bartok has the Echo Delta, and Crick has on the left. We're going up against Madman Pete with the 79th Guards Tank Division. Then we have the new 119th, I think this independent tank division. So tanks. This can be not NSA Spy on the left side. We're going to have Madman Pete on the right. Chip Manley or Stalker will be here in the middle of Delta. And we're going to be going up against Bus Driver. Stalker's using the 35th. Someone had told me this was the independent infantry or motorized, one of the two. And then the 4th Motor Schützen Division for Bus. So the idea with this was for me to hold Foxtrot and probably push into Golf. Yeah, this swamp, after a while, that becomes a main fighting area over here. We kind of have a good fight over a bridge that turns into a bit of support. And then a couple of advances through this area that becomes big. And we end up having to hold the right in this one. So pretty good round. A lot of helicopters use, a lot of F-16s are going to be constant air up. So my idea here, we're coming in with the new M1A1 Cav Recon. It has this cool little bit here, the camouflage. We're going to be putting that over on the right side so we can spot anything that comes through the actual field here. Getting a couple Eyehawks out here. Engineers Dragon's going to take this. We got our Bradleys, otherwise the Recon Bradleys, otherwise known as the Chadleys here. Going to be in this space. We're going to try to hold them off here. We get some Jaguars over in the woods, as well as some troopers that we can move up into this area and see if we can hold this. We have a lot of helos in this one as well, so we're gonna start out with a Kiowa here. It does have 4 Hellfires, so we'll get that, and then also some dragons out in this building and things like that. So without further ado, let's get right into this. First contact that we do have is going to be BDMs in the middle in this forest line. I move back the Bradley. We start seeing some ATGMs come in from the woods here. This is closer to their spawn. We moved the Milan back. I ended up having to move this Bradley back because it's 2 BDMs there. And we're just not going to take it. As now the dismounted troopers are taking some shots, we dismount them. As the Bradley is just getting it through here, the BMD comes up and takes out the Javelin. We have another BMD here. I'm thinking like, okay, we have to somehow deal with this, because we still have more rockets coming from this tree line here. But we're still holding. Spy gets the point on the left side, and we're still up to 2 as the first aircraft that comes on the field is a air-to-air and an attack bit from the Harriers. So that's one of the things we'll do there. So we're starting to hold this field. I see here that Oddball's Recon out here is not getting pushed. So I'm going to start calling in and funneling instead of trying to push against these rockets through all of these tree lines. I mean, we already have a hold here. This is going to be where the center is decided. So here comes the A-10. We see this BMD coming in. They were pushed from the middle, and Bartok was a little worried about that because of his command CV. And so we pull in an AT to kind of support him because we kind of held him out to dry in there. We do take out that last BMD. They call an SG-25. In here, we pull in our F-16, and so does Bartok, bring in his tornadoes, and that SU-25 is not going to survive. We're going to see a lot of anti-air coming at us, both ground and also aircraft. So my AA didn't really do much there. I probably should have turned it around and attacked it. Unfortunately, I did not, but a rapier by Bartok does just try to get one hit, but it doesn't actually happen. BMD infantry there that got in that tree line, but at this time Bartok was able to recover from that, so we're back to concentrating over here. Elsewhere on the map, pretty easy for Pete to take this first kilo spots, and so the defense for Oddball is just generally in this spot. But Oddball, I didn't realize this at the time, is actually straddling both of these points. So he's able to get a good push up in here and hold it. And I think this ultimately is the key to our win here, was the ability to for Oddball to hold both of these, because I think Pete could have probably rolled over Oddball if we didn't have this pressure in the middle that begun like a massive deal. So it's pretty stagnant here. Crick had a good push. He's using also the 11th, so he's able to get Chadley's up. This recon tank is amazing, but able to get across the river and get a hold here, and it helps everything along this line. We bring in an AA because, well, we're trying to deal with that Mi-24 and it doesn't work, but we draw out 2 MiG-29s out from that. And here is the tornadoes coming in to engage the 29s. We call another F-16, and from right there we take down even more. Another 29 coming out. They have some AA here, and we were hoping not to go over too much, but yeah, we sometimes do. Rapier's coming in and doing some work there and damaging that 29, so it's not going to be back for a while. Pushing up the Dragons here and dismounted troopers, and then we're going to have the 113s come up as well. We're going to take this cav and we're going to make a slow push to try to take this bridgehead. But ultimately, I didn't realize that one of their movement things, instead of calling stuff here, it's going to be a line here. They finally get a hotel and neutralize on points after we gain about 400. So that was a good push there. I normally forget to have command vehicles. I called a command vehicle in for this point to pull it. So that was one big thing. As we hit the recon UAS there, as it exposed itself trying to pull back.
Enemy spotted.
So a lot of helos out, Mi-24s, some Ks and Vs. There's another V on the left, kind of just trying to hold us from having any helicopter support. You only have one IHawk and a PVID, so we're kind of exposed in the air if anything happens, but we have, and our F-16s are still going. So we bring in a Stinger and the next IHawk. We'll have 2 IHawks in the back. This Stinger's going to hang around here, and then we're going to get some Stingers also over here. Still not seeing anything there, as again we see the command vehicle, and I think we have some air. Yep, here it is. The AH-7 is going to come in from Bartok to try to go for that. We're starting to see the airplay kind of round up as we have the Mi-24 from Pete moving around through the river, and it's going to come over here in this direction. So the Hellarm isn't able to get too close. He does lose sight of it here, but we do know that the vehicle's there. That could be the one that kind of evens out more on points. I'm thinking also like, hey, I'm going to neutralize this as well. So we start pulling trees. We're going to get an engineer flash. We're going to start getting into the forest as well. We start seeing Bus start setting up his T-55s for a push. So we kind of see that. Oddball starts mentioning it. But again, what Oddball's playing is a forest route here, forcing Pete to come across the open field. That's why we're going to see more of Pete also over here as well. It gets a very slogged area. Some more Mi-29s coming in. And again, our Fighting Falcon's doing work. Look at that bad boy coming over. Starting to see more artillery coming in here. And the French pretty stable here. It gets pretty chaotic at this point here. So we start seeing this. Oddball wants some relief, and he needs some relief over here. So I start moving some stuff around to kind of start getting this push in the swamp, because we want to start ticking it up. Oddball slowly building up. Pretty much the air game and a little bit of stagnant. As we see some more rapiers being called in because they're coming in. Bartok saw this, or I saw this here before and mentioned it. Bartok starts pushing it, so we have full air supremacy in the middle of the map, and that was one of the big things that we wanted, was air supremacy on our side, so we're not getting hit. So when they come across and go about mid-map, our air can deal with theirs, and we can just deal with this with an easier one. Pellet Conquerors here, seeing the Terrier Scouts. We see two T-55s here, and we're just not set up to deal with this at the moment. It was unlucky that he got spotted. We move out the dismounted troopers to actually allow the scouts to get out, but these T-55s, we move up a little bit too far and dismounted troopers start getting hit. The dragons start engaging. Formation of T-55s here, and they start getting hit. The T-55 takes one, and then we lose vision of it from there. So unfortunately, but we did save the scouts there. We do pull them back. This here comes the A-10 that we're going to call in, and we start dealing with this. Now, Bus tried to move across the bridge itself, and from here, everything that Oddball had on the river is going out. He's trying to hold this Challenger here, and I don't want him to lose armor support, because I think we also have Pete moving in a little bit more aggressively. Start seeing the BVs kind of starting to push here. And I want to relieve this as much as possible. So we're going to bring in the A-10. Going to come in, and it's going to put some rounds on the T-55. It's down. And then we're also going to hit the Spetsnaz, so Bus cannot see anything past the river. We do lose at A-10. They do call in the MiG-31, and we respond with calling up an F-16 to hold position in the rear. If they want to call more planes, we'll have our F-16s up to kind of bait them in. I mean, that was good. We take out a recon portion and a couple of tanks. I think one tank, and that kind of does it as we start seeing Bus bring in more. And it's just when we call our AA back, but it's a bait. We have one here, the Tornadoes, and they think they're baiting us as well, but we have air superiority at this point over the middle of the map, as one of the Tornadoes takes a rocket, but ultimately I cover for Bartok here so his planes can get out. And that's another Soviet aircraft down. So good thing is that Oddball is stable in the middle and on the right. Not a big push here as Challenger kind of took care of everything. And Pete's just trying to make sure that Oddball doesn't come across, because we're harassing Bus here. Ultimately, we weren't going to push across this field to hotel. So logically, the push from Bush would have been down the main highway and push us out of this out of the swamp, as opposed to pushing here. We didn't know we were here, and that prompts some helo response. And unfortunately,
where do you need us, sir?
We don't have specific anti-air here. Once we actually drag this in, we have the PVIDs here, and I thought maybe that's enough to cover. Well, the PVID only really covers, you can only really see here, so it doesn't have enough sight. I probably should have bring in more stingers, something like that, to cover this portion to deal with those helos. That would have been a smart, but I am learning things like that. So we spot another command vehicle this time. Good one with the snipers from Bartok. And at this point, I do call in my next command vehicle, just in case that this gets hit. It should have been more AA from here, but live and learn. Cluster strike coming in on spies. Well, it's not needed because that the C-Nite, the new AH-1F that uses the better tow missiles, is there to deal with it.
One less comment. We can't take it anymore.
So Bus again doing those tanks here. Looks like he repaired them a bit, and he's gonna push with 4 tanks, and this is where it gets a little bit of a hasty issue with us. So we're gonna see Oddball move up a couple of mortars as we begin and try to get this push in. Here's the Mi-24, and from here it's like, okay, maybe this PVIS can reach it. We need to get something here. We bring in another dragon. We have a kill over here. We also have another one over here. So we're good on the recon. We start getting hit with artillery where the Jaguars are. Luckily, we brought in 1 supply, and we're going to bring in more supplies once this is out as well. Another plane comes in, Mi-29. And I think this was a bait, but well, it doesn't matter. Bartok responds. Well, this one actually was to protect that SU-25. He takes that out. They call a couple more aircraft in. Our IHawks there, but we're to a point where we have enough AA, but also our F-16s are just ruling the skies right now. It does take a shot though. These T-55s are still on here. Our Dragons actually run out of ammo, and I thought from here I should probably move this Abrams back, but since I had this Abrams, I thought to myself I don't really need to. But what we need to do is continue this push. So we're pushing here. I didn't exactly see what happened all in this area, but I think they just kind of singled out my engineers, our flash engineers, and these vehicles weren't up far enough to support this. And it turned into a situation where we just weren't able to deal with all of that. But the mortars come in and start hitting that. We have our M1A1 pop out of the forest to deal with those T-55s as well as this Abrams, and then we're going to move them back into the forest. So at least Bus's tank push here is actually put there. Now we're at a ticking up 1, and that's what I thought. We're ticking up 1. I want to keep this going. Another aircraft coming in. One's from Pete. We don't know what it is. It is an SU-24. We bring in our F-16s. IHawk hits it once. F-16 is going to respond, and then we're going to go off on that. And we're going to lose that F-16, but we're not able to get that SU-24. It does get away. Lose our command vehicle to the Mi-24 and the Akula. That one's back to theirs, and we no longer have a ticking 1 up. Now the Abrams here, we pop smoke, and we're going to start moving these Abrams back. Oddball mentioned, hey, we need to get some javelins. So there's one there. We do bring in a supply vehicle. It's right here. We're going to bring it up. We're going to start resupplying all of this and getting these guys healed. This push from us kind of got stopped here with some support of some T-55s, kind of kept our infantry from coming out. Start moving our Palamalan back. Our PVID's trying to get something on this Mi-24, but the issue is that, well, that hits our M1A1 recon. And I don't have any more smoke, and that's going to go down. Our PVID's hit the Mi-24, but the Akula is free to shoot on it, and that's why you use your helos in tandem. We're going to move this PVID's back, but that Akula is able to easily take down that PVID's, and I'm thinking to myself, we have some issues. Luckily, we're bringing in a couple Stingers, another PVID. We pull in the M109 artillery piece, and we start to sing a lot from Bus. So we saw all of these tanks here on our flank with the Conquerors and the gas. And from there, we're thinking, okay, we need to deal with that. I'm gonna bring up my Kiowa here and just hold this open space. This is from Madman Pete. So the first one that goes off and it's gonna hit the Conquerors and kill it. Mortars are coming off to hit Bus as we take another hit from the Akula, and it forces Pete to move back. We start seeing Bus's artillery there, and Bus is kind of taking a part of this side of the river, but he's stuck on the other side of the river. This Milan's doing work. This Wombat, we're pretty good on this bridge. The only thing we were worried about is really on this side.
Enemy at 3 o'clock. High.
An MI8 here, and we're starting to see Pete start throwing as much as possible. So I didn't realize this. This is air support from Pete. This is air support from Stalker. So we had aircraft from all three in this area. So there were 3 people in the middle, and we were fighting just 2. And that's mostly because, well, Crick started pushing Spy out, and that was the biggest thing. Spy was kind of flanked, so they couldn't really push anyone, and actually forces a push over here to try to consolidate. But this is the main push that we're worried about here on our side. The Kula and the Mi-24 Recon right here. The Javelin and Stinger are ready to go. The Kiowa still engaging. That misses, so we have to come back here and resupply. We're going to bring in a Chadley. We're going to put it over here. We're also going to bring in a Stinger, and then we're going to put an Ihawk over here to see if we can't outrange this Akula a little bit. More aircraft coming in. It's an SU-25 cluster. It's going to try to stop Crick in his push here. Bartok does respond with it with an F3 Tornado, and then Crick with an F-16. But ultimately, it's going to be taken down by, it looks like by one of the aircraft, maybe? No, it's going to be, yep, it's going to be Crick's F-16. It causes a move here from the MiG-31s. MiG-31's taking shot at the Tornadoes, and it does take down the Tornado. Actually, it doesn't. Good. It's the F-16 that goes down. So still putting units into this space. We see again this command vehicle. We're gonna start using our artillery back here. Artillery strike that. Force it out. So moving here, we see the Tunguska. It's trying to stop us from having this AH-1F come up. But also our recon Kiowas as well. So Bus is starting taking a hold into the swamp, and Oddball is funneling as many things in here as possible. I'm trying to deal with these. This Abrams does get exposed. It's going to take a side hit and is hit. We're trying to pull it back and bait. The Javelin is just out of range from that. That shows that Pete's going to pull up his T-80 BVs, and we're going to have some issues if we can't deal with this. So luckily, we have the C-Nite here. We're pulling in engineers to push into the swamp. These dragons, not able to do much, getting hit from all directions. And we start seeing BDRMs or BRDMs from Bus. We're starting to see SPWs. We're just going to have a bad time in here if we can't figure this out. The flip side, Oddball is getting just hit with artillery on this side, but nothing crazy. And a good counterattack by Spy actually forces Crick to stop his advance on the left. So they stabilize the front a little bit, and we're still not ticking. So Pete has this. We're going to keep on pushing into this area. We're going to put this PVIDs here, so these things can come down here. We can protect the Ihawks. Again, this T-80BVK is still there. Flashing it off. And Oddball starts saying, hey, we have issues in the center. He needs to pull back. We're going to push more and more in. We're going to pull up an Abrams, deal with this BV to hold it at bay. As we see a MiG-23 come in, it's going to be reinforced by some AAA, but also that tornado comes down. We are able to bring in one of our F-16s, and it's going to be just out of range to hit anything. But this Tunguska is here, and it just went way too far. I should have retreated it back when it was over here, stopped it. But that was an unfortunate mistake, a costly mistake for an F-16. This BV's here, just waiting slowly but surely. We're going to bring up a second Abrams here to hold this. And now we have the Stingers. We're baiting this. More aircraft coming in. It's a MiG-27. A couple F-16s with some seed coming in with Crick coming through. We'll see if they have anything out here. The Tunguska's there. It get hit by the seed. The F-16 comes in. So that's kind of how you use that. I need to figure out just a best practice for that whole thing. Fighting Falcon comes in to kind of support them. And from here, Bus starts making a play into the woods here. Now we have this Kiowa here. We took out one vehicle. There goes the other one. And now it's just a push of infantry, which we know it's here. We bring in this A-10 because we need to deal with this T-80BV. He's going to bring in a couple AA. But the whole idea was to stop this push. T-80 gets stunned. T-80 gets missed. Thunderbolt's taking some Tunguska. And ultimately, we stunned it enough that I feel comfortable to bring up our Abrams. We're going to bring up our Abrams. We also have the Harrier AA as well, kind of protecting us. It has to smoke out. So that was the biggest thing, is push this one back. And Pete has to move up. Now, the T-80BV IZD. So he's playing with 79th. These Akulas and the Mi-24 comes up. We're baiting it more with these Abrams. First Stinger hits the Mi-24. Second Stinger hits it again. It's stunned. Stalker knows there's AAA here. He's going to try to pull this Mi-24 back. We have to... It's just outside maximum range. We missed one. The last Stinger. We pulled out of the woods. It is the last Stinger that he has. And there it goes. It goes down. The Akula goes for the Abrams here. We're going to smoke it out and move it back. So the Akula does move back here. We were going to put our Stinger out here, but we start seeing these T-80s, so we're going to pull it back. So we're trying to hold this area. Again, command vehicle was spotted over here, T-64 and Spetsnaz, so we're still at a ticking 2 at this point. Bus is going to do an amphibious assault across here, and this is pretty bold with this, but we can't really get any helos on it because we are continuously shifting. This was good micro in here. Like the Kiowas, we're getting supplied and we're moving. We're moving them out, in and out, in and out, and we're kind of moving pretty quickly with these to keep our helo support out, to stop these T-55 advances and everything like that. I mean, this was a balancing act from everything. This Mi-24 is going to come in. The I-Hawk's going to hit it once. This Stinger was out. The I-Hawk is going to kill it. It has none left, so we're going to have to bring up a supply vehicle on this. This M109 was trying to hit this OSA that Pete had, and well, he moved it a little bit and it just didn't work. So we pull up the C-Nite here. It starts hitting the toes and the tanks, and we're forcing Bus to come across a little open area to where this C-Nite can dominate it. And that is what we were doing out here. That one actually misses. We've already expended all of our rockets. Now Oddball is coming up with a couple of AH-1s, and we fought this through air support behind our line. Now, eventually they're going to pull up some Iglis. We see the BMP-1 here. Start firing at the Abrams. This Abrams has actually a line of sight where that BMP is,
Can't take it anymore.
and starts hitting through this gap, which is a nice one. More aircraft inbound. Stalker putting it towards Bartok and Crick. And, well, that's not going to bode well for that MiG-27. It's going to get destroyed with anti-air. Akula coming in left side. Also, that's going to be a victim of more air. So our fight's still going on in here. We pull up some flash engineers with their incendiary rockets and some M113s to kind of try to stop this push. And we're holding as best as we possibly could. This Tunguska is a problem at this point. I can't move up our Kiowa as Pete starts pulling T-80s across the field.
Need ammo here.
Now the Jaguar here is going to come in with HE,
One less Russell.
and it's going to put
Ryan.
some good HE shots on the BMPs and the T-80s. MiG-31 is going to come in from Pete. It's not going to respond, but
Gun ready.
they pull it back quickly. So this Abrams here gets a side shot on this T-80 BV, and this was another situation where if he comes out in the open here, it's a good shot. Now I moved this Abrams a little bit, and I probably shouldn't have, but we moved it just a little bit so we can see this BMP. Then I thought this T-80 BV is moving back. I should have kept that T-80 back here because it got shot by this T-80. It was in cover against it, so if this T-80 came across, it was there, but it's not a smart move. We're pushing out Bus here. He pushes us back, but we have some good actual cover from here. This BMP is still fighting across the river here. This M1 goes down, this Abrams, and I'm thinking, hey, we need to reinforce this with
Get down. Any
more air power. We pull in our F-16 here, and we just start hitting this road itself. We actually missed the Tunguska, which we were aiming for, and that F-16 goes down. So it's getting a little dire. We held this as best as we could. Pulling in Challengers, we're going to pull in Flash Engineers, and then we start pulling in more and more and more kilos. We've got this Kiowa and this AH-1 C-Nite already up in supply. We're going to pull that back to the front. That means since that's up, we can push this recon in this space and deal with the tanks. So we were kind of revolving stuff like that. We had no real reason to worry about this because the Spartan was out here doing recon. So I wasn't worried about anything they would push over in this area. We also had two Molan 2s in there as well. And then this Chieftain is kind of holding this space. So I felt pretty comfortable. This Kiowa puts out his 4 Hellfires. This T-80 is at 1 health and has to pull back. So that is an unfortunate bit. They start counter-battering firing us here. I don't notice, but ultimately we are able to move this and get it repaired, so not a big deal. This forest fight is going insane right now.
Can't take it anymore.
And we pull this, we see this BV coming up. We say this has to go down. We're going to take this C-Nite
Enemy at 3
and
o'clock.
deal with it.
High.
We take this Cobra on the right and we start hitting this with rockets to make sure they can't flank where Oddball is pulling together his bit, but Enigla comes in and takes it down. So this C-Nite uses all its Hydras on that tank, which does stun it and keep it in the forest. The Kiowa starts seeing the BMPs coming through, and we start getting a bit closer. And we start hitting as many vehicles as possible. Another BMP going down. This was just a hotbed of activity. We see Pete trying to repair his T-80 back here, but we have more issues to deal with. So we start seeing artillery come in from Oddball. So it's trying to go after the Igla. We pointed out from there that that needed to be taken down so we can continue air assaults and our air support. This T-80 BV coming up. It does need some repair. Here comes some Jaguars coming in, HE, and getting in these woods. Now we're open at this point, and I'm thinking, hey, we still need to repair this IHawk because these are still a threat, even though they can push across the woods. Now the best thing with that is that this Challenger was here and can see that opening, which kind of helped us. We pulled this Mi-13 just to kind of start shooting at this Igla, but it was a bad call. It was dumb. It was stupid. So this tow Cobra coming in, we call in another one. Kind of a light push on the right side from Pete towards Oddball, trying to stress that to take it over. And we have a pretty good lead. Crick holding the left side, making sure the air power is not an issue, but still the Akula's doing some work over here for Stalker, trying to support Spy. Bartok was just kind of holding, but just stabilizing this middle section, which kind of did help us and allow me and Oddball to worry about the swamp. So we saw them pull a command asset into here. This T-80BV gets insanely close, and so we're thinking, hey, this tow Cobra has to take down this BV. If it doesn't take it down, we're fully screwed here. So it does take one shot, and we do kill it with the tow. So we're gonna bring in this Mi-8. We do get this IHawk up. It just doesn't see any spacing. We didn't want to pull it out. We're pulling up this Kiowa while we're reloading these two here. And now we're gonna flood this area with infantry. Oddball starting to do it. Our tow Cobra here took one Igla. It's gonna move back and resupply. But all of these, we're gonna push this out here, and we're gonna have these engineers. We ultimately forget to unload them, but we put them back here, and we call in 3 more Abrams to hold this field so they can no longer push across this field. This AA, we need to deal with that Mi-8 because it's worrying me, and it does take it down. Iglas and everything, I mean, that's sacrificed, but it's a good trade to be able to set up for what we need, and it could see anything that comes across here. Tow Cobra starts hitting the Sappery as we see an aircraft come in, some Stalker followed by Spy, looks like an HE. So gonna just go in a hail of support. So at this point, felt like this was pretty good. We're supported by AA, and this attack is kind of starting to fuzzle out, which is nice. We say, hey, there might be something in there. So Bartok does take his Jaguars with HE and bombs it there. But the idea was the command vehicle was there. Since that was striked and it was nothing there, we figured it was still over here. So the shots to the IHawk, that one misses. Going for the Tornado Seed, and the Seed aircraft will actually get away. T-80BV starting to hit with this tow Cobra, and this is just outside of the range of this Igla. Just outside. This is a good spot. This tow Cobra can literally sit on this side of the road and deal with anything that we want. So it starts engaging this T-80BV. We start seeing the motor chutes in here, the command, and we just start pushing it with all our dismounted troopers before we have to pull back. These were pretty much in reserve here in case I needed them. This tow Cobra is now expended. We're going to lift off this C-Nite and this Kiowa over here and push up this Kiowa as well. So kind of a micro rotation of helos, getting them in and out. Then we see this push on Bartok, and this is where it gets interesting. So a bunch of BMDs. What is that? 6, 8, 9 BMDs. It takes down the Warrior. The SAS patrols there. The Chieftain is engaging, and then we're saying we have to actually defeat this. This could completely crack Bartok's flank and roll us over. So we call in all available air support. Crick pulls in this AT. It gets one. More HE goes in. Chieftain takes out one. We bring in our F-16 AT. Another one goes down. The command chieftain takes one. This chieftain takes another. And this BMD is taken out by another chieftain. And there's those 9 vehicles taken. And start Also see Pete pushing oddball over here. And so we're going to have to support. We have some more AH-1s ready. And we're going to bring in this Thunderbolt to support us on this side. But once we saw this, we actually divert this A-10, come over here and start supporting where oddball is getting hit. We also put all available artillery on this position back here, which is his fallback position.
Enemy at 3 o'clock. High.
We had sufficient ability to come in and kind of resupply whatever we needed to. That supply gets a lot. We're holding pretty strong. Another supply vehicle. It's the Spetsnaz over here. So that's seen, and I think ultimately that's destroyed. We had a tick up +4, and that's why these main pushes. This MiG-31 comes in, it gets hit once. It does not get hit a second time. Here's the A-10. We're just reorienting it because we lost visual of a command asset. And so we're just circling it at this point. Huge AA battle here in the middle. They lose one aircraft. A second one goes down. We lose one there. And ultimately they bring in 2 more. We're going to move back our F-16s. But yeah, they lose 4 aircraft out of that. And then while pushing these up, they start taking more hits. The Mi-29 is going to be hit with a lot, just not go down there. And then this MiG-29 goes behind all of this AA, and it is going to get absolutely wrecked flying over all of that. So we see bust those last 2 T-55s. We have to worry about this now. We saw the command asset. We destroyed the command assets. And now this... Well, actually, we didn't kill the command asset. We were actually able to only get a couple of things. But I think it was hit. Was ultimately what the air push was. It was hit, and we had to actually... actually did get destroyed. But whatever was over here. I think it was more... A than we saw. So we bring in 2 AH-1s. The idea with this is just to hold this front. If we see anything, we can sacrifice it for, say, a command vehicle. But the biggest thing is, know there's an OSA in here, back here, and we know there's a Tunguska. So essentially, Oddball's like, I need to retreat back. It was fine. Challenger, take an anti-tank. The Motostriki Metis kind of firing down at the Milans. One Milan goes down, and that's where Bartok was like, hey, all those guys are not unloaded, and I didn't realize it's in there. We're reloading as time goes on as well. Keep our anti-air assets, and we're gonna hold these 2 aircraft
Enemy spotted.
until the next push. So we're pretty stable on this side. Not able to get Bravo completely, but still pressuring to make sure Spy is bringing out his even TO-55s. He was completely spent. We were able to get the command vehicle. Their command vehicle here was taken out. So that's how we're getting a ticking score from there. Now the ticking score is towards them. No real issue because we're saying 50 minutes. It's going to take 50 minutes at this point to get there. And hilariously enough, it actually worked out because we had no time limit, which was funny. It actually worked out where someone won. But at this point, we would be in a position where we would have actually not had any real issues. So we do a push here. And it's a big one. Bartok comes in, Crick comes in, Oddball comes in. We are pushing aircraft galore because we see a bunch of tanks. Spy, Pete, everyone's getting ready for a push on this side. So we push up as much here. So we see this Tunguska. We start engaging the Tunguska. We start engaging the Conquerors. And we start actually hitting anything. I mean, there's a lot of tanks here. There's T-80, T-80BV. Madman Pete has a couple more T-80s. The Tunguska, we knock it out. And from here, we have free reign. The seed aircraft was coming in case that wasn't taken down. And from there, we push them out of this. They bring in a MiG-31 AA. And, yeah, that's not going to help them much. They do try to take out the seed aircraft. They do, but it really doesn't prevent our push here with our helos. Taking out more here, taking out BV, and we're just tossing tows down here. Now, these only have a couple of tows and a lot of rockets, so it's not like an Apache. An Apache in this situation would have absolutely just gone off and hit so many. But now we have them to a situation where they can't really do anything, and that was a real final push. So that one was a pretty good one there. We were all pretty, well, I was going to say all pretty even, but we were all pretty positive. Very positive. Oddball probably had, he doesn't have the most kills, and he has the least amount of losses, but the biggest thing, he was engaged in a lot of infantry fighting. So in that, he's not going to have a lot of kills, but I mean, he was pinnacle in us holding that swamp area in there. Crick pushing the outside, that was big. We go positive by about 2,000, which is actually a pretty good positive portion for me. And then Bartok just absolutely shredding. A lot of kills with less losses. Just Bartok is just crazy at the game. We had one down Twin Cities where Bartok just completely leveled me in one of the cities, and yeah, Bartok is pretty good. Pete, I mean, it was pretty even, other than maybe Bus has a lot of T-55s and a lot of tank spam with that, and we were able to just like corner them in the forest, which did help us against Stalker at times. Was that whole was push. We were able to get ahead in many situations, and we just picked our engagements, and I felt like we were set up pretty well. At least I was. And then Spy over there just got forward wrecked by a forward spawn by airborne. So look at this. Our rotation with our aircraft and our helos was actually superb. I mean, this kill went down here, taking out 2 BMPs, actually like 4 BMPs, 2 1s and 2 2s. Another one there. UAS recon coming down here. The second one, BRDM, another 3 BMPs, a T-55. We had, this was good. We actually took down an OSA and an IGLA in there and kind of freed up the airspace a bit. I did not know we took down that OSA. We did start firing on it, and it was changed, but I think because we were able to have full sight of it always, that those rounds were able to be walked on from there. This AH-1F C-Nite did absolute work as well. There's a T-80, a BMP-1 motor shoots in, SPW-70, so good mix and good rotation. This tow Cobra did work as well. T-80s, Polmashinkis, BRDMs, another T-80 BV, and this was the last 3 that we brought in with the T-80 UDs, taking out BVs. So I thought we did pretty well, and we that was probably the best game yet at this point, fighting with the new 11th Armored Cav. Thanks for hanging out. Go and leave a like below, comment, and subscribe. The members section is also open if you want to check that out. Otherwise, that's going to be it for me today. I will see you guys next time. Later.